Miss, I don't want to insult you, but... What did you do to my hair?
In this video, I'm gonna talk about Yakuza like a dragon. At last, a Yakuza title that tells me up front and center that I will not be playing the guy. I will be playing another guy, he's right here, and I know exactly what to expect. I'm looking at you, Yakuza 4, you and your bullshit-ass rug pull. Good thing you learned your lesson. Exit the straight and stoic Kiryu, the only sane man in a world gone mad. Enter the wild and incredibly impulsive Ichiban, the last remaining man-child in a world gone serious. Kiryu is the man of honor who bails you out of jail, no questions asked. Ichiban is the man of mischief who is sitting in the jail cell right next to you, and he's enthusiastically commenting on how whatever happened was crazy as hell. Ichiban is probably the one who came up with the plan that landed the both of you in jail. He doesn't remember coming up with the plan. He throws shade on the guy who came up with the plan. Then he hatches another plan to get out of jail. Ichiban's life is a series of nonsensical events from which he somehow comes out unscathed in much the same way that a drunk driver has a knack of being the only survivor of the 10-car pileup he himself caused. His friends are in disbelief as to how he can possibly live life that way, and then his friends are even more in disbelief at seeing his crazy self succeed at whatever it is he's doing. Ichiban is the beginner swordsman that master swordsmen are afraid of. The story is as follows. Ichiban happily takes the fall for somebody else's murder, he comes out of jail in his early 40s, and the only person waiting for him on release day is, somehow, yet another cop. Now he's got to figure out why his Yakuza family didn't pick him up, why he woke up in a different city with no recollection of how he got there, and most importantly, how to use a smartphone. What he's got going for him is a main character syndrome that is so overdeveloped, he imagines every fight like an RPG battle. You heard me. The reason this game is a turn-based RPG is because that's how Ichiban literally sees the world. This is gameplay and story integration at work in the most meta way imaginable. Although, how much of it actually applies in the game's real life is anybody's guess. I have to admit that I giggle at the thought of the party hitting bandits and other ne'er-do-wells with things like oversized popsicles and Hitachi wands. The combat part is weird. It's both turn-based and real-time at the same time. You can take a million years to make a decision, and meanwhile, the opponents will just sidestep around while sizing each other up. The catch, though, is that some attacks have an area of effect. So, all the random jittering that happens can be counterproductive if you're hoping to have everyone bunched up so you can hit them all at once. There's even a couple of attacks somewhere that deal damage in a straight line, so good luck waiting for the right moment when your targets are all nicely lined up to eat shit courtesy of yours truly. Most of the time, damage skills will be your bread and butter, just like in most any turn-based RPG in the history of everything ever. Sure, you could do the thing that lowers the enemy's accuracy, or boosts your defense, or inflicts charm or brainwash or any other status effect. But why do this when a couple of good hits will solve the problem permanently? In the wise words of Lord Shaxx, your enemy can't kill you when they're dead. And is that not the best status effect you could wish for on your enemies? Even the boss fights react pretty questionably to status effect skills. In my book, the time-tested, relentless application of pure and raw damage is the most reliable move of all.
It takes a while before you can go back to Kamurocho.
Damn, gotta work to play Super Hang-On.
I have to play the game first. Ew.
Whoa!
I mean, also,
You gotta remember, though, this game doesn't take itself seriously until it does. There are some points at which you'll get knocked on your ass and the game over screen will serve as your wake-up call. If you want to decrease the odds of your ass meeting the floor, you'll want to do every side quest you can as soon as they become available, and you'll want to participate in the minigames to gain a few miscellaneous perks. The personality upgrades are useful in a fight, and a lot of side quest rewards give bonuses in minigames elsewhere, or even in upgrading your equipment. The business management minigame will be your money printer on this one, so you better get acquainted with the office lady if you want your cash flow to become a distant secondary concern. Not gonna lie, the money struggles are real until the management minigame. By that, I mean you can barely scrape enough cash to go to the restaurant and heal yourself up so you can go fight more enemies to pay for your next restaurant tab. It's that rough. Thankfully, the so-called random encounters are telegraphed, and you can walk around them if you're not in the mood. If you need to power level, the places to do so are pretty easy to remember, and you can expect to grind them a fair bit to guarantee your victory in the important parts. Though there are several RPGs past and present that are much worse about this. And I know that I have a habit of over-preparing when I think I'm going into a major plot point. Reaching the end credits took me 100 hours right on the dot. That includes the grossly exaggerated over-preparation I spoke about earlier. I did everything I could think of, and I remembered just now that I forgot to do the golf minigame. By the way, the bowling minigame is still missing. There's no fitness center in its place this time, nobody's got any excuse here. I wanted to play bowling! I'd have done all the completion items on bowling, promise! Sega doesn't want me to play bowling. Too bad, it's their loss. By the way, there's more to do after the end. By that, I mean you can do a run of the toughest, meanest, super-duper hyper dungeon known to man. I like grinding, but not that much, so I passed on the generous offer. You can try it if you want to. I heard the requirements include being level 9 trillion at everything. Your weapons need to be upgraded to plus 99 jillion, and your job ranks need to all be infinity plus 999 bazillion. Juvenile, yes, but it's pretty much on model considering I didn't have an adult experience. I wasn't being a grown-up when I played this. I was being a kid inside his own imagination, making up names for anything I had no clue about. I was always right, even when I was wrong. I invented brand new foes to vanquish with my righteousness. I always prevailed in the end, because of course I was the main character, and whoever was with me was a main character too, just less than me. But it was okay, because they too believed that they were more main character than the others. It was a way to inject something fantastic around the monotony of listening to a teacher and doing homework. And just because these have been replaced by a boss and actual work, it doesn't mean we're not allowed to be fantastic anymore. It's just that instead of shouting like maniacs and running everywhere, we veiled it under a semblance of organization. We put a figure of authority behind a partition, and we threw 20-sided dice. But deep down inside, the end result's the same. We invented ourselves into heroes of our own story, and we secretly wished that our life could be that exciting on a constant basis. Sometimes, we even wished that we could be back to those carefree moments of shouting like maniacs and running everywhere, basking in the most raw expressions of our imagination, just for the sake of its own willingly immature freedom. How nice that we get to have a virtual city in which to do just that. In short, this game is day camp.